baggie? You want bag of
No, I'll just carry mine over there. Just put them in my hand.
How many? This?
Two is good. We'll
Is
give
that
you
big
one.
enough?
They're poblanos. Do you want some poblanos after all? You did good. Oh my gosh. Big, look at that. Look.
It's January in Texas, and this is probably one of the last harvests I'm gonna get. I have a lot in here: jalapeno plants, 4 poblano plants, 6 bell peppers, 4 banana peppers, serranos, Anaheims. What's funny is planting these all so close together is some of them kind of mutated, and sometimes you harvest a combination of those things. That I believe is the serrano. You see it's an orange color, or even right here. See, these, I've just had such a large pepper harvest this year that it's almost impossible to pick everything. So things like that stay on the vine too long and they start splitting and cracking. You'll notice that some of the peppers are green and a lot of them are red. Well, they all start off green and then they ripen to a red color. I learned that this past season because, when I saw a lot of my peppers turning black, I was like, oh no, they're poisoned. But actually, when they're turning black, they are ripening from green to red. This is an example of a pepper that is green ripening to red, and you can see that black color. And that looks concerning, but really it just means it's ripening. These hidden gems in the back, these are cow horns. And I just love these. I try to leave them on the vine as long as possible to turn all the way red, but these I've noticed I can also take these off, put them in the house, and they will ripen completely to red, leaving them on the counter. These almost look like they got some orange tint to them as well, probably from the orange bell peppers. These are poblanos, and they have stayed on the vine way too long. These are best eaten when they are green, I would say, and just large, and they're great on burgers, and you can make chili rellenos. Some people think that red peppers are too ripe, but really, I think they are just completely edible as well. I like throwing as many veggies in my meals as possible, so I would still cook with a red pepper. I would just say it's different flavor, and you can even dry these out and make your own chili flakes. As I mentioned, I have 4 poblano plants, and they're all right here, and they completely took over. They are they're about 5 feet tall. Some of them are a little bit taller than that, as you can see. Every year is kind of a trial. As I said, I have 22 pepper plants right here. And kind of like trial and error. Next year, I'll probably plant more bell peppers and jalapenos, more so than the other ones. I was just experimenting, and you kind of learn what flavors you like better. And I'm gonna go through and harvest some peppers today. I already have some poblanos and cherry tomatoes picked in the house. Definitely, when you're gardening, you should find things around the house first that you can use. Like this is Tupperware. This is what I'm gonna use to harvest, and then I have these pruners, but I definitely use scissors out here sometimes as well. Just go with what's easiest. You don't have to buy these fancy tools to be able to start a garden. So I usually put my bucket on the floor. I feel around for what feels firm, what feels edible, because you got to do some quality control when you harvest, ensure that it's even worth harvesting. It's so late in the season, but ideally, whenever it's the fall or springtime, you would just pick everything anyways, because whenever you harvest the peppers, more are going to grow. Yeah, see, some of these are cracked. They've been on here so long, they've ripened and probably got some waterlogged, so a lot of these aren't very firm. This one's probably all right. You know, when they start turning red, you really shouldn't expect them to get any bigger. Pulled green tomatoes and tried to put them in the fridge. All of them stayed green. You can't take them into a cold environment. It shocks them out of ripening. So what I do is put them on the counter. You can also put them in the windowsill. I can't do that because my cats will try to eat them or something or knock them over, but I used to do that, is put green tomatoes in the windowsill in a paper sack and they will ripen. But my preferred method is put them in a paper sack and put them in a closed, dark cabinet. But there's different ways of doing it. My grandma told me that you can put them like in a paper sack or plastic sack under the bed or something, but I've also seen people just put them on the counter and they'll ripen. And that's what I do with my peppers, and I use the paper sack for the tomatoes. Right next to these pepper plants, I had 2 tomato plants. These are cherry tomato plants, and as you can see, they pretty much had it for the season. And we just did a huge harvest that I'm going to show you that harvest as well in this video. But you can see there's still some cherry tomatoes on there that also begin green. So you can see back here, those are green cherry tomatoes on that branch. And they ripen to that flesh red tomato as we typically eat. Next year, I'm going to opt in for getting more tomato plants and a lot more variety of tomato plants. But what I love about tomato plants is that these last for a very long time, for a full season. And towards the winter time, I feel like that's a great time for tomato plants if they're mature, because even if you have green tomatoes that grew in the summer and fall that hadn't completely harvested, you can harvest these tomatoes green, take them in the house, and they will ripen on the counter. This is my magnificent wheelbarrow. I'm growing green onions and cilantro in here. The cilantro appears to be doing very well. Probably could get a little bit bigger. It does well into the winter season, and that is also why I planted these green onions. I also have some lettuce growing in here. It's probably way too close together, but you can also eat these baby greens. I have some pots right here, and what immediately probably caught your eye is this beautiful magenta color on my strawberry plants. I would say that's a great sign. These are going to have to be taken into the garage during the winter, but these have just survived also all season with me. I got these around April and they just produce so many strawberries. And of course, the best part of strawberry plant is when it grows strawberries. I have some pots back here I'm probably going to take in. These bell peppers look like they are doing okay and I may be able to take them to next season. However, these tomato plants aren't looking so hot. I'll probably have to put different tomato plants in these pots. Grew that from a seed. This section was all watermelon vines. And some of the watermelon vines grew up this trellis as well. And those actually did better growing off the ground because on the ground they're more prone to disease and waterlog. So the ones that were growing up were more successful. I got a few sugar watermelons, small watermelons, probably about the size of that pumpkin. I think they weighed about 5.7, 6 pounds, probably when they were the most ripe. They were very small.
This is Grandma. I wanted to tell you that the watermelon is super sweet. We're really enjoying it, the 4 of us.
This is actually a pumpkin. It was supposed to be a jack-o'-lantern pumpkin, but it's pretty small. These pumpkins, I don't know if they're necessarily edible, like you could eat them. Probably not the best taste, as far as I know, but next year I'm definitely getting some sugar pumpkins. with the pumpkins, it's completely okay if they fall off of the vine too early, because even though this pumpkin is small and green, there's nothing wrong with that because the sun will actually ripen this green pumpkin to orange. As you can see, I put the same pumpkin in direct sunlight and rotated green sides towards the sun every couple of days, and slowly it transforms into a completely orange pumpkin. Now this section needs work. I'm hoping next year to have some cucumber plants growing up here. Those really thrive, I believe, in the summertime here, so I'm not going to plant those too early, probably around May, but in the meantime, I'm going to clear this up, till the dirt, you know. As you can see, I have another spontaneous carrot plant right here. This one's probably about ready to harvest soon, but carrots are a little bit of a pain because I'm going to have to get down there with a tool and, you know, because carrots are a root plant, so I'm going to have to go dig deep to get that out. Probably be most ideal if after it rains or something, or after a water. These will be really easy to get out because I'm going to just get a shovel and go all around it. The soil's going to be really moist and easy to slip this right out, and then I just turn it and just pops right out. But that's for another day. What has been thriving lately is mostly my peppers, but this section was also more pumpkin vines that went up this trellis. And obviously those need to be torn down so I can put the cucumber plants in place, and then those grow straight up and I will wrap the vines around the trellis. This was huge and green and bright even through October. I read online that peach trees need to be in under 45-degree weather for about a month until they'll start producing peaches. So hopefully soon in Texas, within the next 6 weeks or so, maybe we'll get some peaches on this peach tree into the springtime. Throughout this past year, there have been times where this peach tree had completely green leaves, so I'd say that this orange color is a great sign that there's peaches to be produced on this tree. Seems to have done very well, and trees are very winter hardy as well, especially somewhere like in Texas where it doesn't get extremely cold for too long of a time here. I'd say here in Texas, we've had more so of a fall this year than we've ever had in a long time. And the fall foliage actually came out and trees started turning orange and yellow, red, and that's not something that's very common where I live, or it feels like here we have 4 to 6 weeks of fall usually, and then it's just extremely hot and then extremely cold, and you don't have a whole lot of a growing season. But I feel like this growing season was very drawn out because I'd say that fall is almost like a second springtime, second opportunity after the summer heat shock, that these can really thrive again. All of the plants can really thrive again into the fall from the springtime. It does feel like fall. I'd say that this is the perfect weather. Clearly not for January. It should definitely be colder, but definitely helps getting outdoors and getting in the garden, getting some fresh air. Alright, it has been about 2 weeks since I recorded that last harvest of the season, and it is 14 degrees in Texas right now with a wind chill of -2. It's still slightly snowing right now. But now it is officially the downfall of the 2023 garden.